Good evening, welcome along to Inside The Hive. We've got a great show on the way for you tonight. We've got exclusive interviews with Ismaïla Sarr and Samir. We're going to look back at the renaming of the family stand last weekend, which is a fantastic tribute to the amazing work that Anne Swanson has done and is doing for the club. We've got a 60-second challenge with Fran Ali this evening. We're going to hear about a new signing for the women's side. I'm going to look forward, of course, to the game against Villa at this weekend. And of course, as always, we are live from Vicarage Road, so get your questions in. If you're watching, of course, on YouTube, you can put it in the comments section below. You can also do that on Twitter at Watford FC and use the hashtag of Inside The Hive. Two great guests on the show tonight. As always, we're joined by the legend that is Mr. Tommy Mooney. Tommy, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Good evening.
Standard question. Golf this week?
No golf.
No golf?
No golf due to wind.
To wind.
Yeah.
I played yesterday. 2 pars.
Did you? 2 pars?
2 more pars than you've got this week, so that's good.
That is, yeah. And I'm not even playing tomorrow now either.
Are you not?
So, no.
Amazing. Well, we of course have got Tommy on the show as always every week. We can't do it without him. But we've been bringing you some great guests throughout the season, including first team players. Of course, we've had Musa Sissoko on the show. Emmanuel Dennis has been on the show. But tonight it's time for another, because please say we're joined by Ben Foster. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Great to have you on the show. Loving the old logo behind as well. Very on brand. Love that.
La. We got that bit of Watford, but we don't mess around, mate. We don't mess around.
Love that, mate. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. How's your week been? What's the mood in the camp like?
Do you know what? It's actually okay, to be fair. Obviously, the weekend's result was disappointing, but the lads have been pretty good. We bounced back quickly. Ray and Roy get us straight back at it. I won't lie. You know, if any of you guys have met them personally, that's just what they're like as people. They don't dwell on things. They'll address what went wrong. And then they get you working on the stuff that they want you to work on pretty quickly. So yeah, the weekend's result is almost a distant memory, and we look forward to Saturday's game against Villa.
Yeah, we had Roy in the studio a few weeks ago, which was amazing. He kind of gave us an insight to what he's going to be doing with you guys during his time here as manager. And how have you found working with him again? Because of course you've worked with him before at West Brom.
I love him. I absolutely love him. He is he's about as an old school manager as you can get in terms of how he deals with people. He's absolutely brilliant. For me, he will tell you exactly how it is. It's black or it's white, and there's no grey area in between. And I think once everybody starts to get to grips with exactly what it is that he wants us to do, which, bear in mind, he's been working very hard at doing, I think we'll start to gel nicely. You know, I think you saw in his first 2 games, obviously the Burnley game, and then the West Ham game, that the signs of what we want to do. I think the Brighton game, we were a little bit leggy and it didn't really go to plan for us. But I think people can start to see at least that there's a game plan at what we're trying to do.
Hiya, Ben. Do you think, as you well know, I am quite old school and I don't like grey areas. Do you think that's going to be an advantage for the guys in the squad?
For me, it's always an advantage. I think it's so important in modern day football that there's nothing sort of left to risk or left to chance. You have to know what you're doing at any given moment. So if like I said, the way that Roy and Ray like to do things is that when the ball is on one side of the pitch, we all get across as a unit. The whole team gets across as units. The left back tucks over, the left wing tucks over, and we all go over into that half of the pitch and we condense it and we keep it like that. But then when the ball gets transferred over to the other side, which is where the space is going to be, we've got to bust a nut to get over there. We really have got to work hard to get over there. And fair play to Brighton at the weekend. They're very, very good at doing that. I think Man City are probably the best in the league, but Brighton aren't far behind. They're very good at manipulating the ball and moving it side to side and side to side, and it wears you down. It really does. And I think we found it hard to match that intensity of getting over as sharply as what we had done in the previous 2 games.
We'll touch on Brighton a little bit more a little bit later on the show, but obviously looking through your kind of career stats of teams you've played for, obviously you and Tommy have had a bit of a career together. Stoke City in the squad. Ben,
you were very young at the time, weren't you?
Very young.
Obviously, I was coming to the end, so very, very different. But no, obviously, from being in that area, and then Ben has gone on and have a fabulous career from that stage. I mean, I can't believe how you couldn't get in the team, because Cuts wasn't the best at the time. So it must have been personal, Ben.
It was Tony Pulis was the manager.
It was
Gudjon Thordarson at first, and then Tony Pulis the manager. And Tony Pulis is he likes an older goalie. He likes an experienced, big goalie who can kick it a million miles. And even though I could kick it a million miles, I didn't have the age on my side and I didn't have the experience. And that's what it was. But I did go on to play for Tony Pulis further down the line. And again, old school, I really enjoyed playing for Tony Pulis.
Did he still do the videos on a Thursday, 6 o'clock on a Thursday night? Do you remember those, reviewing the games?
Oh yeah, he was brutal as well. He was one who would tell you if it is black or white. He would tell you exactly what he thought of you. He would happily put his arm around you and tell you were rubbish. Honestly, he was brilliant.
You said that to me a few times, to be honest.
Awesome. Right, let's touch on that Brighton game. Of course, you've alluded to that already, Ben. Obviously, Tommy, you're on commentary on that one. What's your assessment of the match? Yeah,
it was a difficult watch, and I think Ben's absolutely right. You know, they do press well out of possession. They work well. They're structured to that transition of being in and out of possession. They work it really well, and they do manipulate the ball well from side to side, and they make you work. And you know, they perhaps got a little bit fortunate at times, but then so did we to stay in the game. Difficult with the result. We knew it was a massive game, and it was one of those where we wanted and probably needed that feeling of winning a game, being in a winning dressing room, like the teams around us have had. So makes the Villa game even more important, because we need to get on the winning trail as soon as possible and put games behind us. Whether it goes well or whether it doesn't, we have to put them behind and focus on the next game, because we need to start picking up points. Simple as that.
And Ben, of course, there's obviously no easy games in the Premier League, is there? But Brighton have certainly become a different proposition from when they first come into the Premier League, especially under Graham Potter, haven't they? They're not an easy side to get points off of.
No, I remember actually. I made my my second Watford debut when I signed back for the club 3.5 years ago. It was actually against Brighton. We were at home to Brighton. I think we won the game 3-0, dead easy. It was almost like a stroll in the park. The modern day Brighton compared to that is a million miles away, and we knew, honestly, we knew what to expect. We know that they're so competent with the ball. Like I say, they just keep moving it side to side, hoping that they'll wear you down. And I just think we struggle to match I think what the word is, kind of like the passion to keep doing it so intensely. I think we started the game well. The goal that went in the 43rd minute just really takes the wind out your sails. You know, you're so close to getting in at halftime, 0-0. You can get in, reassess, talk about a game plan, but when that goal goes in, it kind of goes out the window a little bit. And like I say, it just took the wind out of ourselves. But I've got to say, fair play to Brighton. I really enjoyed the intensity of their pressing, how comfortable they are with the ball, and even just their intent on constantly doing the same thing. It's good to see in person, but definitely lessons we can learn, because even the two goals, you know, the second one's a set piece, it's a corner. The first one is a cross from the right where we didn't get over quickly enough to shut down the original cross. Even though it's a fantastic finish, we need to stop the crosses coming in.
Yeah, okay, for sure. Obviously, positives, I like to try and take as many positives out of games as we can. Obviously, seeing the lads come back from AFCON is a massive positive, and obviously gives the manager a chance to work them as well. Ismaïla Sarr coming back in as well. Good to get those guys back in around the squad.
Yeah, sure. It was just a little bit too early to get Isma back in the team. You know, he'd had a massive schedule of travelling back, and it took it out of him. Obviously, he'd coming back from a really bad injury as well. I think we were all probably looking on from afar, just praying and hoping that he didn't pick up another injury, and he managed to get through the final few games for Senegal, injury free. But yeah, it's great to have him back. He's a game winner. It's as simple as that. You know, he's a game winner. He'll win us games, but it puts the opposition on the back foot as well, and I think that's the important part.
And what's he like in training as well? Because of course you spend a lot of time with him in and out of training. I'm sure when it gets to shooting practice as well. What's he like?
He's a bit of a freak. Honestly, he is. He's a bit of a freak. He's what you see on the screen now, the goals that he scores, the dribbling past people, the clinical precision of his shooting, stuff like that. He does it in training, day in, day out. His pace, I still don't think people understand quite how quick Ismaïla Sarr is. His acceleration off from a standing start is like nothing I've ever seen before. And genuinely, I'm being genuine there, I've never seen anybody accelerate from a standing start as quick as what he does. So yeah, we need to find a way to get him back in the team as quickly as we can, because like I say, if you're a left back, you think back to the start of the season, the very first game of the season, Matty Targett for Aston Villa. It's a fantastic win for us, but poor Matty Target got ran ragged. He got pulled off at half-time because Ismaïla Sarr was just doing horrible things to him, and that's what we know what we can get from him.
And do you think he knows how good he could be? Because sometimes when I watch him, I just want him to keep doing the things that he makes look so easy. You mentioned Matt Target there. I mean, he's had to be moved on to recover from it. You know, he really struggled. He couldn't play him. He was unplayable, wasn't he, on that day?
Yeah, he was. It was
you
horrible.
just want him to do it again and again and again. Sometimes I think perhaps the penny hasn't dropped for him yet. I'm not sure he knows that how good he could be.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do, Tom. It's scary, isn't it? Really. It's almost like everything seems to just be off the cuff every single time he gets the ball. Even he doesn't know what he's going to do, but it will end up being good either way. Once he can start to really drill down on what he knows he can do, the world is his oyster. Honestly, he's like I say, the speed and the awareness, the touch, the precision. He's got all of it. He just now needs all of it to connect and be in control of it too.
Yeah, massively. It's good to have him in that squad. Time now as well to hear exclusively from him as well. We love giving you an exclusive on Inside the Hive, and we caught up with him a few days ago.
Describe the feeling when Sadio scored that winning penalty. What was it was again so close, but then he steps up and scores. What's going through? What are you feeling then?
Ouais, moi, quand Sadio l'a frappé, j'ai vu tout le monde je cours. J'ai dit c'est bon, j'ai la coupe. Avant je disais que je rêvais, c'est pas vrai. Avant je dis non, c'est pas vrai, on n'a pas la coupe, des trucs comme ça. Après on m'a dit que ouais, on a gagné la coupe. Voilà.
Those moments afterwards, getting your medal, winning the trophy, those celebrations on the pitch. We saw you were filming on your phone, on Instagram. Just how exciting were those moments, and how much will they stay with you for the rest of your life?
Ouais, ça reste toute ma vie. Je vais garder ça. Ça c'est ma vie. C'est la première fois que je gagne la Coupe d'Afrique pour mon pays. Ça fait des années, des années. Il n'y a personne qui a fait ça. Nous on est venu, on a fait ça. Je crois que ça va rester toute une vie. Ouais.
I bet your phone was going crazy, wasn't it? And your family must be very proud.
Ouais, c'est normal, c'est normal. Moi, avant je pars pour jouer un match, j'appelle mon père, ma mère et ma femme, ma famille. J'appelle, après je pars. Après le match, quand il est fini, je rappelle encore ou eux me rappellent pour me féliciter. Voilà, c'est comme ça.
And what about when you went back to Senegal, those scenes of the people on the streets to welcome the team, incredible times?
Ouais, je crois tout le Sénégal, tout le peuple est sorti pour nous accueillir. Il y avait beaucoup de monde.
Well, great to hear from Ismaïla Sarr there. Full interview is available on YouTube a little bit later on this evening. So if you're watching tonight's show on YouTube, of course, make sure you hit the subscribe button and check out that interview after this show. Don't stop watching this to go and watch that. Watch it at the end. Ben, obviously, great to see those scenes of him arriving back in Senegal. Did you give him just as a warm reception back to the training ground?
Can I say it's a miracle you managed to get him sat down to do an interview? Oh my God, he is Ismail is the kind of guy who wants to come in, play football, and go home, and that's it. Like, he doesn't want to talk to anyone. He doesn't even want to talk to me. Honestly, he doesn't. I swear, he's like so quiet. Like, he hates doing media duties, but he just wants to play football. That's all he wants to do. So, well done to John Marks for actually getting him sat down and talking, even though he did seem to just go, "Yes, hurry up, John. I want to go home." Like, you could see what he's trying to say. But no, he was class. Like, when he only got back into the country, I think on Thursday or Friday. I think it was Friday actually, before the Brighton game. So we joined up with the team Friday night at the team hotel. We had a team meeting Friday night, and then Roy obviously kind of said congratulations. The lad gave him a good old round of applause, and even then he's sort of sitting there like, yeah, hurry up, come on. But yeah, it's really nice to have him back in the team again.
Yeah, amazing.
I think it's interesting to see how he reacts, because if you think most people in this country, when you've won something, it's normally at the end of the season. So you normally have 2 months off, 3 months off before you come back in and you're playing games. Ismaïla Sarr's he's got his football back within a couple of weeks of getting that medal around his neck. It's not the norm, so I think it's a really interesting situation for him.
Yeah, they're massive.
I think it would be good because, like I say, he's had such an injury layoff. The injury that he had was a naughty injury. Honestly, it was a really bad knee injury. It was kind of touch and go for a while whether he was going to need an operation. I think they decided to treat it conservatively. They managed it very well. Got him back playing, and he feels good with it as well. And I think that's the main thing. So it's almost like the little break has done him good, and hopefully now we will reap the benefits going into the final third of the season.
Yeah, massively a very key player for the side. Right, Ben, time now to dig into your career a bit more and your time here at Watford so far. You obviously mentioned Ismaïla's injury there. Obviously good to see you back in the squad as well. A difficult few weeks, a few months back, of course, when you picked up your injury.
Yeah, it was a rubbish injury. It was basically the tendon which holds your, I don't know, it's really hard to explain. It's basically the kicking muscle at the top of your thigh that goes into your hip. I managed to basically pull a few of the strands of tendon off of the bone. I did it in the Arsenal game, actually. We were playing away at Arsenal at Highbury, the Emirates. Showing my age there. And
you're going full on old school there, aren't you?
Felt a couple. There was a couple goal kicks where I thought, "Oh, that's not normal. I don't normally feel that in a goal kick." Anyway, like after the game, it was a bit sore, a bit tight, all that kind of stuff. But you manage it. We didn't have another game for another 2 weeks, which was the next one was against Man United, and then obviously played the game against Man United, and it was absolutely fine throughout the game. But then towards the end of the game, I think I had a kick in the 90th minute or 91st minute, which made me almost sort of double over in pain. But again, after the game, it was actually all right. So again, I sort of coddled through training a bit, and then it wasn't until later in the week I did another goal kick in training and felt something kind of finally just go, and it wasn't a great feeling. So it was a case of shutting down for a month. I've got to say it was a miserable time because with the injury that I had, I needed it to reattach. I needed the tendon to fully reattach to the bone. So the medical advice was basically shut down for a month. Don't do anything. Don't even come into the training ground. Stay away from the place. Don't drive, and don't do any exercise. Nothing on the bike. No bodies. Nothing. And I can't sit still for 5 minutes. So that was just pain and torture for me. But thankfully, came back after a month. Went for a scan. It started to reattach, and that's when I could start up my the rehab as normal.
It's great to have you back in the side. Let's talk about your career then with Watford. You must have some great memories of your time, obviously the loan spell and then coming here permanently as well. Any kind of particulars that stick out for you?
No, that original loan period was for me. I'll always look back on that as basically the start of my football career. That's where I really started to cut my teeth and learn how to be a goalkeeper. I got thrust into the team. Playing week in, week out in the Championship with Adebowale-Arimoro. And then obviously we ended that season getting promoted via the playoffs, which was an incredible experience and one I'll always remember really, because if you can guarantee a promotion from the Championship, you do it through the playoffs because the roller coaster of emotions is incredible. We managed to do it, and then we're in the Premier League. You're obviously the favourites to get relegated, so it was backs against the walls at the time, but it held me in such good stead going forward. And then obviously talking about the second spell, 3.5 years ago, the opportunity came up, and it's one that I really couldn't turn down. There wasn't many, honestly. There wasn't many teams that I would have wanted to sign for, but knowing Watford the way I did, it was such an easy transfer to do, and I knew I was going into a club which I kind of knew the history of anyway, which made it so much easier.
I want to talk a bit about the Goalkeepers Union. It's completely different to what these strikers are like. They're in it for themselves, but the Goalkeepers Union like to look out for each other, like to support each other. We had Aurelio Gomez on the show last week. He spoke incredibly fondly of you. You had a great relationship with Aurelio when he was at the club.
Yeah, exactly. The goalies union, right? So you said there about the outfield players, right? It's Egoville, honestly. Like, they're just full of egos everywhere. They're all stabbing each other.
What makes you say that, Ben?
He's rubbish. I should be playing. He shouldn't be playing. Right? That's what the strikers are like, yeah. Whereas with the goalkeepers, we're just like the most harmonious bunch of people. We all get behind each other. Every training session, it's like, oh, what a save, what a guy. And to be fair, with Aurelio, I was genuinely saying that to him every training session, because that guy has got the longest arms I've ever seen of any human being, and he could make saves that I know I couldn't make. Like the saves he would make in training, that he would reach things and tip stuff around the post and over the bar, and I would have to stop training in front of some of the young lads and go, "Did you see that, guys?" Like, I can't make them saves, you can't make it, but he can make them saves. Like he was a special talent and a special man as well. What a guy.
Yeah, Tommy doesn't get it, you see, because I'm number 3 goalkeeper at the team I play. He's like, "What are you number 3 for?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it's working with each other, right? It's that
team spirit.
union."
It's just as important, mate. It's just as important.
He's number 3 because he's not better than number 1 or number 2. Let's be honest.
So I'm doing
he has loads of excuses, Ben. The basics of it is he's number 3 because number 1 and number 2 are both better than him.
Hey,
you've still got a part in the team, mate. You've still got a part in the team. And it's
see that goalies union. I just don't get it, mate. I don't get it.
Well, you need to. I played 5-a-side this week, and I got asked what team I used to play for. Exactly.
And you said I was third choice at the Red Lion.
No, I didn't say I was third choice at the Red Lion. I said, unfortunately, I didn't make it pro. I went and presented it instead. That was my go-to line. Obviously, that you mentioned that relationship with Aurelio, of course, 2 great goalkeepers, Backman, of course, there as well this season, and of course, you've got Rob Elliott there as well. What's your relationship like this year?
It's good. Again, there's not many sort of parts of the team that get on as well as the goalkeepers do. I find most goalkeepers are probably of the same sort of ilk. We're all pretty laid back. We're all pretty kind of, take things in our stride, all that kind of stuff. And we spend most of our time together anyway. So even when we're not out on the training pitch together, we'll be in the canteen together. We'll be playing pool. We'll be chatting about this, that, and whatever. It's nice, mate. It is. It's nice to be part of the goalies union. I know that most outfield players are jealous of it anyway. They all want to be part of it. So I know I'm in the best position.
No, they certainly do. And just a bit on your role as well, because obviously being one of the senior players in the dressing room, you've been at the club, as you mentioned, for the last few years, and of course that loan spell as well. How do you find that in the dressing room with all the other players?
I still love it. I do. I'm 38 years old. I'm 39 in a couple of months' time, but I still bounce in there like I'm 22, 23. Like it's almost like my energy levels are getting higher as I'm getting older or something. But I love it. I love that role of it where, don't get me wrong, I like to have a nice time and I like to muck about and be that guy. But there's times where you have to be serious. You have to have your professional head on. And I will never, ever blur the lines between when you need to be professional and when you can have a nice time. And I think some of the younger lads will watch that and they realise they know I like to be a good guy around the place, but they can tell the difference of when it's game time, of when the match is about to kick off, when you need to be serious. And they can see it in me. There is a switch. You have to have that in you.
I love the role as senior pro, Ben. You've been senior pro for quite a while, and I don't mean that in a rude way. I don't mean that in a rude way. You know what I mean. Do you think the role of the senior pro has changed over the last 6 or 7 years?
Yes and no. Like I've been lucky where, like I say, when I signed for Watford sort of 4 years ago, Gomez, I think he's a year or two older than me. And I throughout my career, I've always been surrounded by older goalkeepers who have almost shown me the way. So Edwin van der Sar at Man United, for example, somebody who might not have the name attached to it, but Boaz Myhill at West Brom. He was the same age as me, but he knew how, like I say, when I mentioned earlier about blurring the lines, like it's all you have to have a good time at training. You have to work hard, but have a good time at the same time. It has to be an enjoyable experience. You have to enjoy going in and working hard. But then when it comes to game time, you need to know when to switch. You need to know when it's time to turn it on and go, right, lads, serious business now. Let's do a bit. And that's when you need to do it. So like I say, I've been lucky to be surrounded with these guys like Edwin van der Sar, who was incredible at doing that. The nicest bloke. But when it was time to do it, woof, you knew about it. Aurelio Gomez, the same sort of thing. He's the nicest man in the world. You guys will attest to that. But when it was game time, it was serious business. And he was the one getting behind lads. And I used to sit there watching thinking, you're literally the nicest bloke in the world. 6 days a week, but when it's on that Saturday afternoon, it is nothing but business, and it was brilliant to watch. So I've learned from some incredible people, Tommy.
You mentioned obviously with your career at Manchester United as well. You know, you've played for England. We've seen your career stats pop on the screen a little bit earlier on. When you started your career, did you ever imagine that it would pan out the way it has? Did you kind of have aspirations and goals, and if you tick those things off?
No, honestly, when I first started, I genuinely kind of had, I think they call it imposter syndrome, and I genuinely didn't get rid of this imposter syndrome until my mid-20s. I signed for Man United, and I still remember thinking they're going to realise in a minute, they're going to realise that they've made a horrible mistake. They're going to see me in training and think, what have we done? And it wasn't probably until I left Man United where I could really sort of, I think it comes with age. Like, you get to your mid-20s, you start to genuinely think, do you know what? I don't care what people think anymore. And I think that's the turning point. You start having kids, you get married, you've got a family at home, you've got somebody you need to support. That is the most important thing in your life. And that's the point when you can start to go, do you know what? It doesn't matter. If I make a mistake, that stuff sort of happens. It's going to happen. I'm human. And when you can get to that point, that's when you can start to produce your best stuff. But it's a shame that it wasn't until probably my late 20s that I actually started to realise that. But, you know, that's life, and I'll never, ever regret anything. I think that's the beauty of going through these trials and tribulations. You've got to learn from stuff. So even like talking about Man United, it didn't work out for me. I was there for 4 or 5 years. It didn't work out for me, but I learned so much along the way.
How about you, Tommy?
Very similar, actually. I always consider myself a realist. I wasn't a dreamer. I didn't dream of playing in the top flight or playing internationally. Obviously, for the Premier League, I played in a small spell. But the most important thing to me when I look back on my career, and you know, I'm sure Ben will do it in a few years' time, is promotions and the dressing rooms that I was in. And I consider myself extremely lucky to be in and around, like Ben talks about, his ex-teammates there. Really, when I look back on my career, yes, you look at goals and games that you've won, but it's the experiences throughout. I don't know whether you noticed it yet, Ben, but that's essentially what I look back on. I don't look back on the stats and the figures, and I don't even look on the medals. They're in my dad's loft. But I look back on the relationships that you build with clubs, with players, and with supporters, and I think that's what I'm most honoured and pleased about.
Yeah, Tommy, I've got to say, mate, like, obviously I only played you for a little bit, but I still got to watch your career from afar almost. And the one thing that I think is very similar to me as well is, I know that whenever you went out there on the pitch, you were giving it 110%. You were not holding back. You wouldn't shirk of any tackles. You would always rise to the big occasion. You would give it everything you had. And I would love to think that that's what I've done as well. And so no matter what I've done in my career, no matter what I've achieved, appearances for this, that, and whatever, it doesn't bother to me. As long as I know I gave it everything I've got and had a nice time along the way, that'll do for me.
No, definitely. I think that's, I think no one can say that about you, Tom. You always give 110%. Everyone we speak to says the same.
Well, I always say, I gave 100% because that's all you can give. But at 99%, I wouldn't have got in the team. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't have got in the team. I wasn't the most, in no team that I played was I the most talented. But I worked harder than most people, and I think that got me to the end. I managed to 38, so you do one more year and you've done me there.
Take that reference.
No, do you know what though? Like, talking about that, that's so. I think I was actually thinking about that this morning. Right, the reason why the teams like Liverpool and Man City are still at the top and still working as hard as they do. I watched Man City the other night, and their intensity when they haven't got the ball is incredible. Their intensity when they have the ball is incredible. But you look behind the scenes at some of the players they've got. For example, Man City, Fernandinho, for example. Liverpool, Henderson, James Milner. These sort of players, right, they might not get the headlines and stuff, but I guarantee you, when they're not on the pitch in front of 80,000 people and a billion people watching worldwide, they're the guys that drive it. They're the guys that every single day, they won't let the standards drop below 95% because that's what they are as human beings. They just won't let it. So everybody keeps their standards like that all the way through, and it transfers itself out into the pitch as well.
No, it certainly does. And do you know what? That leads us on perfectly to our next bit of the show, because we've already looked a little back at Brighton, of course, on that result. But there was something extra special that happened at half-time as well. Anne Swanson has been committed to this club for well over 50 years, going back to when Graham Taylor and Sir Elton John were shaping the club to make it what it is today. And there was an amazing tribute to her at the weekend because the family stand has been renamed in her honour to be called the Anne Swanson Family Stand. And this is what happened when she found out.
Anne, you are the main reason why Watford Football Club can call itself today the original family club, and we'd like to surprise you with something very, very special this afternoon. You know about becoming patron of the Junior Hornets, but to honour the legacy that you created, as I said, for Watford to be known as the original family club, the board of directors have decided to recognise all you did over so many years to make this ground a safe place for families to visit. So it gives me enormous pleasure to say that from now on, the family stand, which is down there, will forever be known as the Anne Swanson Family Stand. Congratulations, Anne. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Anne Swanson. Oh no! That's yours down there now. That is going to be your stand.
Oh, thank you.
No, you've earned it.
Can't take any more of this. Oh, thank you everybody, and thank you directors.
Look, Anne, you've absolutely earned it. You're an absolute legend here, and as much as Elton and Graham, you're responsible for this being the original family club, so thank you so much, and we look forward to welcoming you into your stand in the very near future.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Anne Swanson.
An amazing tribute to Anne there. Tommy, of course, you know, we've spoken about how special this club is and how amazing the family ethos is, which of course Graham Taylor and Sir Elton helped put into place. I think what Anne has done just epitomises all that, doesn't it?
I think it's just a remarkable natural reaction to what is a completely fitting tribute to Anne for all of the work that she's done over, like you say, far longer than any of us have been involved with the football club, and what she's done and where she started it to where it is now is a remarkable place. So congratulations to Anne. And you know, Ben and I would have been with Anne many times on one of the functions that she's arranged, and she'd always make them fun and not monotonous for the players to be there, because she gets the club, and I'd like to think that we get the club.
Ben, of course, that's something that you guys wouldn't have seen at half-time. She'd have been in the dressing room. But of course, that just epitomises, doesn't it, of how special this club is, that it is a family club and it is more than just the players on the pitch. It's the fans, it's the community.
Smile watching that, because that's what football is about. She's basically Mrs. Watford, you know. That's what we want to see. The reaction when she heard that, and I know that it was a surprise to her, and she probably didn't want all of that kind of stuff. But the genuine reaction is what we all like to see. Yeah, it was lovely. It was really nice.
Great to see that fan reaction as well, wasn't it? The fans are pretty incredible inside Vicarage Road, aren't they? And for that warm reception as well, that's incredible. How much does that help you as a team on a match day when the crowd are reacting to something amazing like that at half time, but also the stuff on the pitch as well?
That's the beauty of Vicarage Road. It's a proper old school stadium. I know for a fact there's so many teams come to our place, and I'll speak to some of the lads after the game, and they're like, I love coming here. It's like proper, it's old school, it's close, it's compact, it's on top of you. And you know, you go to some of these away stadiums, and yeah, they're lovely and they're massive and they're arenas, but they're a little bit soulless. But you know for a fact that when you come to Vicarage Road, it's going to be a sort of an atmosphere, and it's cliche as you like, it really is, but there are 12 man at times.
No, certainly are. And an amazing tribute there for Anne at the weekend. Of course, she's a proud patron of the Junior Hornets as well. And if you want to get yourself involved with that, very simple. Just go to the website, juniorhornets.watfordfc.com. If you're one of our junior fans, lots of things you can get involved in, potentially being a mascot in there as well, and walking out with Ben and the team as well. So do check that out, juniorhornets.watfordfc.com. We're going to be giving more questions to Ben very shortly. We're going to play Ask Tommy, which Ben is going to look forward to, because as always, we give Tommy the difficult questions and Ben nice and easy questions. But before that, it is time for another 60-second challenge. Tommy, you're currently joint 5th, aren't you, in the table, looking to keep hold of that position. But will he be beaten by Fran Ali? That is the question. Let's find out.
Hi, my name is Fran Ali, and this is my 60-second challenge.
Childhood hero.
Deckham.
Best dish you can cook.
Spag bowl.
Most famous person on your phone.
Rosie Cometa.
Coach or train to away games.
Coach.
Football manager or FIFA.
Football manager.
Last minute winner or hat trick.
Last minute winner.
Favourite musician or group.
David Ruffin.
Skiing or snowboarding?
Skiing.
Favourite song?
Never Too Much, Luther Vandross.
30-yard screamer or solo goal?
Solo goal.
Worst teammate to share a room with?
Raya.
Favourite holiday destination?
Spain.
Favourite food?
Nando's.
If you could change position, where would you play?
Goalie.
Red sauce or brown sauce?
Brown sauce.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
If you could play any musical instrument, what would it be?
Guitar.
Favourite movie?
Mr. Juliet Adebowale.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Best stadium apart from Vicarage Road?
Wembley.
Penalty shootout in a final, would you go first or last?
Last. Is that crap?
No.
Oh!
Well, there we go. Good news for you, Tommy. You're clinging on to that 5th place.
Top 5.
Top 5.
I'll take top 5.
Clinging on to top 5. Time now, though, for that fun part of the show where we play a little game called Ask Tommy. Ben, this is really easy for you because basically right now I'm going to ask Tommy 4 incredibly difficult questions, and a little bit later on in the show I'm going to ask you some really, really easy questions. The whole point is to basically make Tommy lose live on air.
That's fact, Ben. That is absolute fact. He's not even embarrassed by how easy your questions will be. Mine will be ridiculous. Honestly, it'd be easier for me if I went on countdown.
Right,
can we go like a duo then? So if I might know the answer, I probably won't, but like we can confer, yeah? Like we can work on that.
We've not done a whole stealing points thing before. To be fair, Ben, most of the questions are about you.
I like where Ben's
should know
taking
the
it.
answers.
Yeah,
I like where you're going with it,
It's
Ben.
not. I'm not in a competition. I'm talking. It's
You
like
want
a
a team
collective.
up.
So let's work as a team at least, yeah.
It's a new way of doing it, but why not? You're the guest. We want to make you feel at home. So if you want to play like that, let's play like that.
Ben, why didn't you come on here about 3 months ago? Honestly, I've been embarrassed for 3 months.
Ben, don't just help him straight away, though. Let him struggle a little bit, and then you can chip in on some of these questions. Right, question number 1 for Tommy. We always start with a golf question because Tommy loves golf. Sir Nick Faldo was number 1 in the official world golf rankings for a total of how many weeks?
Do you see what I mean?
The options are...
Not even Nick Faldo knows that.
97 weeks, 99 weeks, or 93?
97 weeks.
Correct.
Thank you.
Point. Question 2.
Pure luck.
Ben started his career as a youngster at Racing Club who? A. Slough, B. Warwick, or C. Walsall?
Ben, it's Warwick, obviously. They're a legendary club in the Midlands.
Correct. 2 points. He's not needed your help so far, Ben. He's doing all right. 2 points. Okay. Question number 3. Both you and Ben have played for Birmingham. Ben signed a 3-year contract with the then Premier League club on the 19th of May, but in what year? Ben's even thinking about this one.
I think that was as I retired, so about 2008, Ben.
2008. Ben, do you want to change his mind on it?
No, it wasn't. It would be 2002.
Correct answer is 2010.
What? Stoke?
How can I be...
No, Birmingham.
How can I be closer than you? It's about
Stoke.
you.
You've got to listen to the question, Ben.
No.
Birmingham.
I'm sure he said Stoke.
No,
you said...
Well, Birmingham. Birmingham was the question.
Yeah,
unfortunately, Ben, I appreciate if you misheard the question. Zoom connections, no problem.
I think
That's
it was
poor from Tommy, not from
Tommy.
you.
It was 2010 because we won the League Cup in 2011.
There's no point telling me
You've
now.
already lost now. He's
already got it wrong.
Okay. Now, this has come from an official online Ben Foster quiz. So someone has made a quiz about you, Ben. So hopefully this is right. Ben started his career at a young age, but not as a footballer. What job did he do when he was first employed? Was he a chef, a builder, or a farmer?
Oh, I'd love it to be a farmer. I really would love it to be a farmer, but I'm going to go... I reckon you've laid a few bricks in your houses. Builder.
Oh, Ben, correct answer is?
I was a chef. I'd love to have been a farmer, though. I'm with you.
Really?
A farmer. Well, 2 points, Tommy. That's not bad. We'll do your questions a little bit later on in the show, Ben, but effectively you beat 2 your champion, but there is a 5th question tiebreaker, which we play for fun anyway. But a bit of fun with Ask Tommy. 2 points. That's your worst performance for a few weeks. You were doing quite well the last couple.
Thanks. I was feeling all right about it until then.
Time for the important questions now. They're the questions that you've sent in. A massive thank you to all of you who've taken the effort to ask Ben a question tonight. Ben, first question is about your favourite jersey. Of course, you've got some behind where you can see right there, but I'm going to ask you what your favourite Watford jersey is first of all.
What do you mean, my Watford? Which one that I've worn or one that I've collected?
Your favourite kit as a Watford player.
Oh gosh, it definitely wouldn't have been any from the first loan spell because they were massive. They were horrible. They had back then. They even had like elbow pads. They had shoulder. They were horrible. So it would be from the new era. I would say the Premier League season when we got relegated. We had the orange. It was like an orange and blue Adidas one. They were lovely.
Nice little kit, that one. Like that one. Right, next question comes from Sam Brewster and Alex Moss. What's your favourite Watford game/moment that you've been part of?
Oh, that's a really good question. It's got to be the playoff final against Leeds at the Millennium Stadium. It was, at that moment in time, it was the biggest occasion in my football career. And like I say, the feeling of getting promoted via the playoffs, because you've just played a whole season, you've done really well, you've just missed out on automatic promotion, so you've got to go through this playoff system. And we beat Crystal Palace 3-0 away at their place, 3-0 at home, and then we've got Leeds in the final. Leeds beat us twice that season. So to beat them in the final as convincingly as we did, it was, what a feeling. And to see all the fans as well, I had my whole family went on a coach at Millennium Stadium. It was brilliant.
Did they have the roof closed when you were there, Ben, or was it open?
Yeah. No, I think they had it closed. I think they had it closed, yeah.
Could you breathe in the first half? I played there for Birmingham. With all of the fireworks, you literally you could see at pitch level, but I couldn't breathe until half time. No wonder I was rubbish in the first half. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, that's
Steve Bruce wasn't having it at the time.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. I haven't got to run about, thankfully. I just stand there and shout, so I was fine anyway. Everybody else was struggling. I was like, come on, lads.
Thank you to Sam and Alex for your question. Next up comes from Danny WFC. How do you mentally prepare yourself before a big game?
There are no big games. That's how I look at it anyway now. I wish somebody had told me this earlier in my career as well, because every game, I think you should prepare for every game the same way, regardless of whether it's a cup final, a Champions League final, World Cup final, or you're playing at home to Burnley on a Saturday afternoon. It doesn't matter. You do the same things, you prepare the same, and you play the same. Because I think once you start placing extra importance on any single game, that's when the pressure starts creeping in. You don't need that in your life. You know you've prepared well all week in training. Do the same things when you're building up to the game too.
Do you have any little superstitions? You put like left glove on first or anything like that, or you not really into those things?
No, that's a mental thing. If you're relying on superstitions, you're relying on stuff that's sort of out of your control. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, as long as you know you've prepared right, that's it. Just go out and enjoy yourself.
Why didn't you tell me that 20 years ago, Ben? I was
Me too.
superstitions.
Yeah, I know.
What were you? You were left boot first, right?
Left boot first. If I scored, I wore the same pair of boots the next game. So sometimes I wore the same boots until they had a hole in, and other times it was like they'd just come out the box and I binned them.
Changing them every game.
Hey, Tommy, you're not the only one. Honestly, like footballers, I know for a fact footballers are the most superstitious bunch of people you've ever met in your life. Some of the stuff I see some of the lads do, I can't talk about half of it, but my God, it's bonkers, honestly. I think I want to say, this doesn't work, this isn't a real thing, but obviously for them, it's like a placebo effect where as long as they're doing it, it might help them 1% in their head, and that's the most important thing.
Certainly. Next question comes from James Gray. Best defender you've ever played with?
Oh, that's ridiculously hard to answer. My gosh, the best defender I ever played with. I've got to say, there's one lad at West Brom, Gareth McCauley, who everybody go, what? And I've played with like John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic. Some like Craig Cathcart gets an honourable mention in there. Craig Dawson, I love him to bits. I love playing with him. But there was something about Gareth McCauley. For me, he was the most underrated defender in the Premier League about 7 or 8 years ago. He was absolutely incredible. I knew exactly what I was going to get from him. Me and him had this like connection where we just knew each other and what each other one was going to do, and it was just a pleasure to play with him week in, week out.
He had incredibly sharp elbows. I felt the full brunt of it a couple of times. When he was really young, actually, really sharp elbows.
Horrible.
Final question for them comes from Amelia Highway and says, if you had to, who do you choose to be your roommate with the current Watford squad? Do you get to choose who your roommate is, or do you get told?
No, we get single rooms. Like we're pampered now. Like the Premier League footballers are pampered like you wouldn't believe. We got our own rooms, and honestly, I'm gutted because I love company. I love, like, even when I'm in my room, I'm not in my room, so I'll go downstairs to the canteen or whatever, and I'll try and find somebody to talk to. Who would I room with out of our current squad? It would probably be Rob Elliott or Craig Kafka. Both of them two, we're on the same wavelength. Tom Cleverley, maybe. Even Kieran the Masseur. I'll probably have Kieran the Masseur, actually, because he's like my best mate anyway. So, on for him.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your questions so far. Don't forget, if you want to send more, and you know how to do that by now, if you're watching on YouTube, pop it in the comments section below. You can also do that on Twitter as well. Use the hashtag of Inside the Hive and at Watford FC. Okay, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on, we're going to be giving you some exclusive news right now about a new signing for the women's side.
So, having signed for Watford last week, how happy are you to be here?
Yeah, I'm really happy. I think the girls have welcomed me really well. Feel like at home, really.
What have been your initial impressions of everything so far?
I think the girls are lovely. I think the environment is fun. I'm still learning within the environment.
There's a few players now within the squad on dual sign agreements. Do you think these help young players like yourself get valuable experience at a good competitive level as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is like a huge platform for the young players to actually showcase themselves. I think they're still learning, and I think we're learning from experienced players. So I think it's really good that, you know, the opportunity is given to the young players.
Having been around the senior setup at Brighton early in the season in September, and having also been called up by Nigeria at under 20 level, you've gained plenty of experience already this season. Now excited to get further experience in the Championship with the Golden Girls.
Yeah, definitely. Playing with Brighton first team and being called up to be, you know, representing Nigeria has been like a huge platform for me. From those experiences, I've learned a lot, and also being here is just adding to my experience even more. So yeah, I think I'm just trying to settle in and just start playing, basically.
Moving on from that, you made your debut against Lewis at the weekend. How did you find it out there?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple minutes and I enjoyed playing within the squad. Obviously, we were losing a bit, so it was a bit hard to just adjust to the game. But yeah, I think it was a good experience for me to just make my debut.
So the fans got to see you in that, but for those who weren't there in attendance at that game, how would you describe yourself as a player?
I describe myself as a fast-paced player, versatile, I say.
Having already made your debut, is it about building on that and making an impact in the coming months with Watford?
Yeah, definitely. It's just about getting more minutes, getting more experience, showcasing myself, yeah.
Finally, continuing on from that theme, what would your goals and aspirations be for the rest of the campaign?
Yeah, like I said, it's just getting more minutes and just getting more experience within the squad. I'm just building myself for the best, basically.
Well, a warm welcome to Juliet, who's joined the women's side. And you can see them in action on Saturday, the 5th of March, 7:30 kickoff at Kings Langley FC. If you want to get yourself down to that one, tickets.watfordfc.com. If you want to get yourself a little bit of a treat from the Watford shop, 3 for 2 on toys and games at the moment. You get the cheapest item free. If you want to maybe a bit of Lego for you, Tommy, build the stadium, bit of something to do if you can't play golf because of the wind and weather with the storm that's coming in. Shop.watfordfc.com. And also current half-term offer if you're off next week for half-term and you're one of our junior fans, you get free shorts and socks when you buy a junior home shirt. So do make sure you check that out. Okay, let's look ahead to our next fixture then. Aston Villa on Saturday. Ben, obviously Villa Park, that's quite an intimidating stadium, isn't it? Is that one of your favourites or least favourites to go to?
No, it actually is one of my favourites. The atmosphere, I've played there quite a few times. I played in a Midlands derby, two Midlands derbies actually, with Birmingham and West Brom. And I've got to say, the Villa fans are incredible. Again, it's an old school stadium. Everybody loves playing at these old school stadiums like Vicarage Road, like Aston Villa. So yeah, hopefully though we can put in a performance that we want to put in. Like I say, last week against Brighton, I think we all started to feel the effects of 3 games in a week, and we've had a week now to prepare for this. So hopefully we can go there, full of energy and good to go.
Tommy, how do you assess Aston Villa's season so far?
Obviously, when a new head coach comes in, you get that new manager bounce. I think they have a fabulous squad. You know, I think in the last couple of years they've wasted millions and millions of pounds on very average players, but now they're starting to build a good squad, and obviously with Stevie G in charge and Gary Mack, perhaps just as importantly, they've got very good people in charge. I think for 2 former Birmingham City players, it makes the results on Saturday even bigger for us. I'm sure Ben will agree, but at least it's only you, big man, getting the stick on Saturday. I won't when I'm stood in the crowd doing the commentary. So
yeah, I'll get dogs abuse. I will. I always get dogs abuse at Villa.
But when you win, that makes it even better, doesn't it?
Exactly. Like all my, to be fair, because I'm from the Midlands anyway. I'm from Leamington, which isn't a million miles away from Birmingham. So a lot of my friends growing up were Villa fans, and the amount of requests I've had for tickets already, and I'm like, lad, sorry, I can't sort you out. I'm really, really sorry. But no, it'll be a good game. Like I say, for me, there's probably 2 teams in this league who you worry about playing against. Man City, Liverpool, you worry about playing them. As a goalkeeper, you think it could be 5-6. If they're on fire and we're having a bad day, it could be 5 or 6. But other than that, there's 17 teams who I genuinely think we can get points off.
We'll talk a bit more about that after we've got a little bit of an exclusive interview now with Samir. This is his pre-match thoughts.
You've been thrown straight into Watford. What have you made of the Premier League so far, especially compared to Serie A?
Sì, avevo già una idea della Premier League perché la seguivo e la vedevo spesso, quindi sapevo già che era un campionato molto molto diverso da quello che vivevo io in Italia. Non c'è un paragone tra Serie A. Non c'è un paragone tra Serie A e Premier League, ma sono 2 campionati diversi, intensità diverse, quindi per me è stata un'avventura bellissima di venire qua in Inghilterra, quindi spero che io possa dare il mio contributo alla squadra, aiutare in qualsiasi maniera, ma a me mi piace questi momenti così, perché così che possiamo buttare fuori le nostre qualità, quindi io sono contento di essere qui, sono sicuro che usciremo più presto di questa situazione.
Yeah, with the relegation battle, Roy Hodgson, he's famous, he has a reputation for helping teams survive relegation. Have you noticed a shift in confidence in the dressing room since Roy Hodgson took over as manager?
Sì, sempre quando c'è un cambio di allenatore, c'è un cambio anche di stima, no? Della squadra, dei giocatori, tutti quanti. Quindi il mister è uno che riesce a salvare sempre una squadra che sia in difficoltà e speriamo che lui sia bravo anche in questo momento con noi. Quindi speriamo di fare tutto ciò che dobbiamo fare, quello che ci dice, quindi siamo contenti che lui sia qua con noi e speriamo di seguire tutte le sue idee e possiamo mettere a prova in campo e risolvere tutti i nostri problemi.
Good to hear from Samir there. Tommy, what have you made of his performances so far?
I think he's looked steady since he's come in. I don't know whether that's the introduction of Samir and Hassan Kamara at left back, both naturally left-sided, gives you that little bit of balance. Whether it's Roy and Ray coming in and working on that defensive unit, like Ben said earlier on, or even whether the relationship he's building with Craig Cathcart, who's been probably one of our best and most consistent players up to now this season. So I think all of those factors will hopefully, improve certainly the goals conceded, and obviously with Ben coming back from the injury.
Ben, how's he settled in? Of course, a few new faces in the January transfer window. They all settling in well?
Yeah, like what Tommy said there, totally agree. He's just been very steady, and I think for me as a goalie, I think what I want from my defender first and foremost is somebody that's very steady, that I know what I'm going to get from him, doesn't try to be all singing, all dancing and show off his ball playing skills. He's not that kind of defender anyway. He's very much left-footed. He loves a tackle. He loves a header. He loves to get the ball as far away from my goal as possible, and that for me is absolutely perfect. Couple that, like you said there a minute ago, against Hassan Kamara, the same. He's slotted in so well, very, very much left-footed, but the energy that kid's got, honestly, what a fantastic signing. He's been absolutely brilliant these last few games.
Obviously looking forward to the game at the weekend. Roy's style of management, does he talk about what Villa are going to bring to you, or is it very much focused on what you're going to do to Villa?
Oh no, he will show you absolutely everything. We work very hard in the week on what we're going to do, and then when you get nearer to the game, Thursday, Friday, that's when you start to drill down on Villa. That's when you look at what their attributes are and what we need to be aware of, and what we need to combat. So, yeah, for sure, we will look at Villa and what they're good at doing. But for us, it is making sure that we stay disciplined and do the things that we need to do first and foremost.
And of course, Steven Gerrard, their manager, Philippe Coutinho in that side as well. They've strengthened well, haven't they? They've made some good acquisitions that certainly won't make them an easy opponent at the weekend.
No, they're good. They're good players, aren't they? What I say. They're proper players. They've spent a lot of money. You can't deny the fact. I know, even though they've got Philippe Coutinho on loan, they've had to pay a big old loan fee. They're paying heavy wages. They bought some proper players, But this is the Premier League. We know, like I said, we know that whoever we're playing against on a Saturday afternoon, the team that we're going to play against are going to be a very, very good team. We just need to bring our A game every single time. We need to be disciplined. We need to know what we're good at, and we need to stick to it. And like I say, unfortunately, we didn't do that against Brighton at the weekend, but a full week's training, a bit of rest in between as well. Hopefully we're good to go.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that one. Of course, Tommy will be on commentary duty for that one. You're heading up to Villa Park. And
not far from home from me, similar to Ben.
Easy one.
So looking forward to going seeing the second best team in Birmingham.
Of course, keep updated on all the social media channels for all the action this weekend. Right, Ben, time for the bit that I can tell that you've been waiting for. It's your turn for your questions. Tommy, you can help if you want, but I don't think you're going to know the answer to most of these.
If you need my help, you're really struggling.
So, Tommy, you scored 2 points. Ben, I'm going to presume you're going to score more than 2 points, but we will play the tiebreaker question anyway, just for a bit of fun. Your first question is, what team did you help beat 3-0 while playing in the Championship playoff final to gain promotion to the Premier League?
Oh, come on. Sorry, Tom. It was Leeds.
Correct. Point for you, Ben. Number 2, you made your Champions League debut on the 5th of November 2008. But who was it against and what was the score?
I haven't got a clue. I don't
Tommy said you were going to get this so easy.
We've argued before the show. I said, are you joking me? His Champions League debut. He'll know who that was. Whatever happened in the game, he'll know everything about it.
You said it yourself earlier. It's not about stats, Tommy, all right? It's not about your achievements.
It's not stats. You just got to name the team.
It's about looking yourself in the mirror and knowing you've had a nice time and you've worked your head off.
Try one of the Glasgow clubs.
Okay, Celtic then. It was Celtic away, yeah, and it was a 1-1 draw.
Correct. There you go. 2 points on the board. Okay. Last week, Aurelio Gomez was on the show. You played against him for West Brom against Watford on the 16th of April 2016. But what did he do in that game that was quite special for a goalkeeper?
Oh, what a guy. Incredible. He saved 2 penalties. Saido Berahino. His fantasy Premier League points that game was, I think, a record. I think it was a record set by a goalkeeper because he kept a clean sheet, he got the 3 bonus points, and he got the 2 penalty save points as well.
Love that. Love that. Have you got a fantasy football team, Ben?
I give up. Do you know what? What kills me the last couple of seasons with the Fantasy Premier League is all the games that get called off all the time. It just throws everything all up in the air. You don't know where you are from one week to the next. So I've just given up.
Given up.
That's why I never started it.
Normally I do all right. I'm normally a top 10 player in the league I'm in, and then literally first 3 weeks of the season I had a shocker. I'm bottom of the league. I've given up. I haven't been bothered anymore.
Give up.
Yeah. Right, Ben, you got 3 points for 4 out of 4. Like Tommy, you have won a Watford Player of the Season award, but what year did you win yours?
It was the season we got relegated from my first spell, which would have been 2006, 2007.
Correct. Full house, all 4 points. We're going to play the tiebreaker question anyway. And basically, Tommy's got to guess a number and you have to go higher or lower. So again, relatively easy for you. Not that we like throwing Tommy under the bus. It's just the nature of the game. Question 5 then, the tiebreaker question. According to PremierLeague.com, how many Premier League clean sheets has Ben got?
Are you going to give me some sort of marker?
No,
Ben says no.
Oh, look, you're getting all competitive now.
Ben says no.
No, do you know why it's a no? Because I want to see how high he gauges me on my
okay.
career.
We'll take
if
that.
He says like 15, I'm thinking you're a dickhead. Tommy, you're a dickhead.
My initial thought was 51.
51. He's definitely not going to get an honorary.
I don't know the exact
no honorary
figure.
Induction to the Goalkeepers Union for Tommy Mooney. No chance. Never. Ben?
I don't know the exact figure. I'm going to say 75.
89 is the correct answer.
Oh,
so
I'll take that. I'll take that.
89.
I meant in league games, not including cup games or pre-season.
That's a good
just
Premier League games. That's just
Premier League games.
Got to listen to the question, Tommy.
So he gauges me so. He's got such a low opinion of me. That's why he said that.
You know that's not true.
Ben, congratulations. You've won Ask Tommy this week. That's another defeat for Tommy. But time now to end the show with some more important questions, which are the ones from the fans. So a massive thank you to all of you who've sent a question in. This is a great question from Peter Hopwood. Can you think of a time when you've somehow managed to make a save and surprised yourself? Yes,
quite a few of them actually. There was West Ham the other night. So West Ham the other night, the one from Jarrod Bowen. It's so close and he's hit it so hard, and I've had such little reaction time because it's gone through bodies and past bodies, and you haven't got a good sort of like a view of it. And it's literally hit my middle finger. The only finger it hit in my right hand was my middle finger. And normally when it only hits one finger, it's never enough to stop it going in the back of the net. You know, you might have got a touch on it and diverted it a little bit, but it still goes in the back of the net. And to hear, like, I didn't even have time to turn behind me and see it sort of where it was going. I just heard it hit the post, and I, for a split second, thought, oh, it's still gone in. It's hit the post and gone in. And to see it bounce out the other way, they're the ones that make you go, yeah, I like that. That was nice.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thanks for that one, Peter. Danny has the next question. Who was the best player that you've played with in your first and second spells of Watford? So 2 players, best player in your first spell and in your second spell.
In the first spell, it was Marlon King. So championship season, the one we got promoted, ended up getting through the playoffs against Leeds. Marlon King was... he was a beast that season. He was an absolute beast. It was just relentless goal scoring. He was absolutely incredible. Notable mention to Ashley Young, who was just coming up through the ranks. It's the second season in the Premier League, would be Ashley Young. You could see it was without that start of a blossoming career. I think he ended up going in the January, or maybe after, I'm not sure, but you could see that he had all the ability, all the tactical, all the mental side of it to go on and be bigger and better than what he was.
Yeah, amazing. Next question comes from MC Swain. Is there a sporting icon that has influenced your career the most?
Not really, no. No, honestly, it really hasn't. I just like to pick up things as I've gone along, and I even not from people, from sports people. So I think you can learn so much from other people in all walks of life and all their sort of trials and tribulation of what other human beings go through. And I think it's always just really important just not to be closed off to absolutely anything. I think you can always learn from anybody, no matter where they are or what situation they're in.
No, certainly. Next question comes from Lee. Who's the best goalkeeping coach that you've had the pleasure of working with?
Oh, that's a really good question. The best goalie coach I've ever worked with is, I've got probably 2 or 3 up there who, for all different reasons. So my very first goalie coach was a guy called Ronnie Sinclair at Stoke City. And he basically taught me everything I need to know about goalkeeping. He taught me the basics. He taught me my shape, my set position. He taught me everything. So I owe a massive debt of gratitude to that guy. Lovely man as well. I had Neil Cutler at West Brom, who is the most in-depth, detailed, incredible goalie coach you've ever worked with. Dave Watson at Birmingham City. I've got to say, I've been very lucky. A notable mention to Graham Stack at Watford as well for the few months that he did it. And Graham is what a guy, what a goalie coach, and what a guy as well.
Tom, we've not really asked you a question like that before. Is there like a coach that you worked with that was really influential on you?
Well, I think Ben's just mentioned every one of the goalkeeper coaches he's had there, so you've not really narrowed that down, have you, Eddie? You just didn't want to. But nice that you said Ronnie. I worked together with Ronnie at Villa's Academy years later for about 5 years. So
lovely bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, great bloke.
Wicked, what a guy.
I think from coach's point of view, for different reasons, and I agree and understand why Ben names a few for different reasons. Structurally, man management, I work for Graham Taylor, so you wouldn't expect me to say anybody else. Man manager, I enjoyed working with Steve Bruce. Worked for some other good ones, but those would be the first for 2 very, very different reasons. Not because Brucey couldn't coach and GT wasn't a good man manager. He was the best, but he was an all-round manager, real manager then. Now it's just coaches. So
I guess, Ben, we throw that to you as well from a manager's perspective then. Who's kind of been one of the best managers you've worked under?
This is going to sound like I'm like blowing smoke up his backside, but Roy Hodgson. I say it before because I was
right. It does sound like that, Ben.
Yeah, it does. I know.
But I fully understand why you do it.
Oh, it's horrible. But I was with Roy at West Brom for a year, and I absolutely loved it. It was incredible. And then Roy took me into the England team. He played me a major tournament at the World Cup in Brazil. He played me in the game against Costa Rica, which for me it's like a bucket list thing. So I can tick that off. So I will always owe a huge debt of gratitude to Roy. And I just love the way that he is as a man and as a manager. He will tell you exactly how it is. If somebody's acting up, he'll happily tell them. But if you're one of the good guys and you do it properly, he'll fight your corner for you.
Yeah, massively. And you've got massive brownie points with the media team. I better clipping that up right now. That's going to be all over social media the next few days. Right, next question comes from Fred13. What's been your favourite moment this season?
Oh, that's a good one. Favourite moment this season? It might have been my first game back in the team against Norwich, away at Norwich, where I think it was a 3-1 win. Just because I'd spent the last sort of probably 6-7 months sort of sat on the bench, sort of waiting my time. And there's many ways you can wait your time. You can do it in a kind of annoyed, disruptive way, or you can get behind the team and help them and give everybody else as much as a boost up as you possibly can. And I'd like to think I did that. So it was almost like a bit of payback to sort of say, sort of, well done for biding your time and getting back in the team. And then obviously the Man United result, 4-1 at home. It's always nice to do that as well. It's great to go away to these away stadiums and do it and beat somebody away, but to do it in front of your own fans and to do it in the fashion that we did, I think that means a little bit more to me than the away ones.
No, massively. And the final question comes from Curly Scally, which is an interesting question. It's interesting because Aurelio, when he was on last week, told us he started as a striker. How old were you when you became a goalkeeper? Were you always a goalkeeper, or did you have a dabble at being a striker? Because most goalkeepers want to play up front, right?
Oh, yeah, you work your way back. So I was a striker, and then I was a midfielder, I was a left winger, centre-back, left-back, goalkeeper. But I still think I could do a job now. Me and Rob Elliott joke every day that if you put me and him up front...
You're too friendly. You're too friendly. You wouldn't cope with a striker's mentality.
We're horrible, mate. I told you. Once that game kicks off, we see the red mist, mate. We're sickos. We are. We're animals. We will be getting it down. We'll be laying each other off. We'll have that communication. I genuinely think we could score half a dozen goals at least each per season.
Didn't Stuart Pearce try that once with David James for Man City?
Yeah,
it didn't work one little bit, did it?
It was horrible. He just kept fouling everybody. He just kept kicking everyone.
He did. To be fair, though, that's another point for Ben, really, because he's played every position on pitch just like you, but you've not played in goal for a game.
I have actually made, for Scarborough when I was a kid, when the first season where the goalkeepers were getting sent off week in, week out, I have actually played in goal in the Football League.
Have you?
Yes. The goalkeeper got
there
sent
you
off.
go, have a bit of
2
that.
occasions.
There we go. You learn something new every game.
And I turned down the offer of being in the Goalies Union. You're far too friendly for my liking.
Nah, we're the best.
We wouldn't accept you anyway, Tommy, to be fair, but there we go. Ben, thank
the
you
first
so
choice
much.
ones would. The first and second choice ones would accept me.
He loves a nibble every week, Tommy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been all right to have you on the show. But Ben, thank you so much. Pleasure to have your company. Really, really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and best of luck for the weekend.
Thank you, guys. Absolute pleasure as always.
No worries. Massive thank you to you as always at home for watching. Always love having your company on a Thursday night. Thank you to all of you who have sent questions in. If you're travelling to Villa Park at the weekend, have a safe journey. And if you see Tommy at a service station, say hello. Have a great rest of your week and we'll see you next time.